My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and we've had semi-final week.
Semi-Fredo week. Final week.
Near enough, good enough. So, patisserie week this week, and it was interesting.
What's interesting? We got meringue.
We got meringue, we got choux, we got Les Mis.
Can you hear the people baking a cake inside an oven?
You could have said baking a cake inside a tent.
Oh, baking a cake inside a tent. Da, 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 da. Don't really know the words.
And they don't have to pay the rent. No, that's fine. Anyway, so it was a very eventful week this week. It was, as we said, it was...
Choux buns.
Choux buns. It was a cake that no one's ever heard of. Nine of them. They couldn't count.
It was a Belgian cake.
A Belgian French cake. And a meringue centerpiece. Now, the four bakers we had left were Kate, Sophie, Stacey and Stephen.
Indeed.
They've all sort of got their own personality. None of them are actually the Flavour King, because Liam went home the other week. And they haven't rechristened anybody the Flavour King, which is unusual.
The only person who could get it would be Steve then, because he's male. Otherwise, it'd have to be a Flavour Queen.
So it could be a flavour, non-binary.
A Flavour Monarch.
Flavour Monarch, just in general, yeah. Exactly.
Yes, there we go.
And Kate would be likely because she's, historically based. Let's go with that.
Catherine the Great.
Catherine the Great.
Queen Stacey. You've heard of her. She was of Aldovia.
Aldovians, Queen Stacey?
Yeah, I believe they coronate their... And Rihanna's going to love that word. Coronate their monarchs on Christmas Eve at their ball. And happen to mistake journalists for tutors.
No.
If you'd like to see my rants about A Christmas Prince, which is horrendously good, just check my Twitter account at MuseMuseMadamK.
Oh no! but the plus side was her blog was going so well. Why would she become queen?
Why? And she's like, but I'm working here at my dad's coffee shop after I fucked up my career. But
it's all good. She should have stayed in iZombie. Anyway, so the semi-final, you set a pretty high standard.
Yes.
We'll talk about the quality in a minute.
Yes.
Because I've got a few points on that. So the first thing I had to do was 24 choux buns. 12 of them had to have a crunchy crackling.
Yes, crackling.
I prefer crackling personally. But
yeah, just like fry up some pig fat, pop it on top.
Exactly. And 12 of them had to be iced. So...
Iced choux buns.
So you had a really interesting approach to this. So Stacey went with the shoonicorn.
I love that.
And the shoe emojis.
And they were rainbow on the inside.
Look, I love Stacey, and because she goes for it, she's not going to do something...
I'll dye my shoe yellow like an emoji.
Stacey's going to Stacey all the way to the end of it, which is what she did.
Much to Prue's delight.
Yes,
I didn't really get the yellow.
Stacey is going to Stacey, and I like that about Stacey, is that she was just going to, all the way through, going to Stacey.
Yes.
The shoonicorns, I love them. Okay, let me get this... I loved the concept of them.
They were a little informal.
I actually loved the outside look of them, contrary to Paul going, they're untidy, he called them.
They're wild shoonicorns, Paul. They've been out there grazing in the Candyland fields.
Has he not seen Charlie the Unicorn goes to Candy Mountain?
Exactly.
Shan and unbelievers, Charlie. Shan.
So by that, we should all be shunning Paul.
Exactly. And I got what she was going for with the colourful inside. Probably overdid that. And
it's probably, you got to think about your audience as well, is that you've got Paul and Prue, who like to think of themselves as a bit sophisticated, don't want to be eating rainbow creme patch, whatever the fuck was inside that.
I don't know what it was. I'm assuming
Cream?
It was unicorn droppings.
Oh, just whizzed up unicorn poo.
Yep.
I thought they pooped jelly beans.
There's a shop for that.
Oh no, they do poo. No, they poo ice cream. I saw that on an ad.
Must be true.
Yeah.
Saw it on advertising. Must be true.
Yeah.
Sophie went with a very Sophie thing, which was strawberry and rhubarb and chestnut and vanilla.
Chestnuts roasting inside a shoe.
And she did a Sophie job.
Yeah, it was great, but not quite. It looked good. Bit of gold leaf, very shiny chocolate. Oh, a little flat.
Yeah, I mean,
Little squishy.
They were a little flat. They were a little squishy. They weren't. Yeah,
They were good.
they were what you would expect. They're solid. They're dependable.
Their buns.
They looked the part.
They were round.
They tasted fairly good.
Stuff on them.
There were
12 of them.
There were indeed.
They were on the plate.
All those things
inside the tent.
All those things that go into making them a bake-off dish.
They were served up to Prue and Paul. Sorry.
All those things that go to make them
Yes.
a dish. Kate went for Bellini and Valencian orange shoe buns. Now, my biggest problem that I had with Kate's bake.
Not real Prosecco.
Yeah, she went Prosecco flavouring.
Oh, look, any way you can get Prosecco.
Yeah, but Mary Berry was weeping. At home, she heard Prosecco flavouring and just got disappointed.
That's not what Mary Berry would do.
The only reason I would say that Mary would have been okay with it was if she had the Prosecco, and that's why they needed the flavouring.
Well, she obviously didn't curse Kate properly because she did okay this week.
Kate did really well. I was very impressed with Kate this week, actually.
Indeed.
I thought Kate did very well indeed.
Aww.
And Stephen. Now, Stephen did key lime cheesecake and Bakewell tart.
He's still swinging, the pendulum's still swinging the other way. He's gone from no substance and all style to no style and all substance. Even Paul, described them as untidy.
They said that a few times about Stephen today, where they said about a few of his bakes that they were all sort of all over the place. They couldn't quite work it out. At least this one's not so much that style over substance thing.
They tasted good. The key lime pie tasted just like key lime pie, according to Prue.
But the interesting thing for me was...
like my impression of Prue?
It's very Prue.
It's very good. It's almost as good as Noel Fielding's impression of Prue.
And Noel's is brilliant. I wonder how he does it.
I know.
What I had a bit of an issue with in this one, though, was they said that Kate's looked burnt.
Yep.
No, it was Stacey's, right? They said that Stacey's, the Shumoji ones, looked burnt because that she'd used that yellow that looked a bit like curry.
Now, Stephen's actually were burnt.
Stephen's were actually burnt. And they commented on it, but then said, but they taste good. But then they had to go at Stacey's ones because they look burnt. But Stephen actually burnt his.
Yes.
So it was part of this, and again, we're going to come to this because I'm a bit confused by the final result.
But Kate's were really good. They were perfect.
Kate's were superb.
Her crackling was crack-a-lackin'.
Kate, they were indeed crack-a-lackin'. No, they weren't crack-a-lackin'. They were crack-a-plenty.
Were they?
Because they weren't crack-a-lackin'.
Ah!
She wasn't lacking the crackin'.
She was all
See how I did that? See how I did
all
that?
the time. She had an excess of crackin'.
Excess of crackin'. Just the right amount of crackin', it turns out.
Look, when your fisher boat is out on the water, you don't want an excess of crackin'.
No, they just want to release the crackin' and let it just be the right level. Right level of crackin'.
Yes.
The technical. So, depressed, long-winded. Again, that's the general gist of this, apparently, because they were Les Miserables.
And it was very Les Miserables watching it.
Belgian. Now...
And you hear the people fuck up their bakes inside the tent.
I was wondering if you were going in that for half a second. So...
Oh, sorry, people.
Terrifying. So, anyway... The technical wasn't done very well by anybody.
No, it was just...
The shade of green didn't look good on anybody's cake for a start.
Not even in, the proper ones. I wasn't...
Some of them look like fake grass, some of them look like diarrhea.
It's... Are you going more for, a spring lawn or baby poo?
Well, actually, the really fluoro green ones look more like that Lego matting.
Oh, yeah, you could just grab
and the other ones just look like diarrhea. But this brings me to a broader issue that we need to have a bit of a chat about.
Chat away.
Personal opinion. I feel that the quality of the baking in British Bake Off this year started out amazingly.
Yes.
And since about week 4 has just dropped off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I mean, last week I put it down to it just being a slump, but there's actually been a decline, which I'm not sure what's going on. Well,
I know they're setting harder challenges, but they started with fairly hard challenges that they were getting right.
It could also be the heat. I mean, it's been pretty hot in that tent for the past 4 to 5 weeks.
But last week's wasn't. Last week's was raining and cold.
Yeah, which can still fuck with you because you're like going... It's like what we've had here in Sydney for the past few... I mean, unnamed, undisclosed Australian town. Possibly Melbourne, because I heard Melbourne people don't like listening to Sydney. Not that we're from Sydney.
Hobart. Yeah, Knoll people. Yes. Anyway.
So, it can really throw you around when the temperature's up and down. And they do go home between bakes. Like, it's life.
It can throw you around. I do agree with that, except for the fact that you know what you're walking into. You know that you've got to be able to bake if it gets warm, if it gets cold, if it rains. It's England. You've got to be used to the rain and the sleet and the snow. You've got to be used to the conditions changing all over the place. And it's not something that we've seen impact to this extent in any other season. And I include the Australian series where it's going to be naturally warmer to start with.
Yeah.
You don't see this level of it affecting. And yet I know the last challenge, and we'll talk about that when we get to the meringues, the heat played havoc. We know this. But what I'm saying is that the quality of how many times since about week 4 have they just thrown the technical out when they've done the judging and ignored it? We've said 3 or 4 times. They just ignored the technical.
Well, I just want to know, right? So Paul's zoomed them off to Channel 4, and I'm like, well, where the fuck's the air conditioning, Paul? Where the fuck's the air conditioning? You've gone to Fancy Pants Land to grab yourself more money. Why not put some into the tent, you know?
Yeah, why didn't they put air conditioning in?
I mean, they can go, generators are so loud. It's like, well, run the generators like 2 kilometres away and just fucking cable it over.
Just Channel 4, just pay some hobos to stand in front of it as a wall of human flesh to keep the sound out. I'm sure that's what Paul would do.
Don't refer to the homeless as hobos.
I don't mean homeless people. I mean like professional hobos. Like, university students.
Oh, okay. When you just say desperate, we'll do anything for pay or grog.
Hobos.
University students.
So I've had a bit of an issue with it the last few weeks, but this has been where it was really obvious tonight. The Austinot on Twitter was saying it feels more like a timed challenge in the last few weeks than like a taste or a look challenge. You've got this long to make this thing.
Yeah, and it's cool to crank up the pressure a bit, but you still want a good outcome, and you still want it to be, I don't know, like edible.
And it brings it back to, I try really hard to be fair and not compare the Australian and British seasons. And
But if this was the Ashes, we'd be smashing them.
Yeah, I genuinely try to not compare the two. But they're not making it easy. They're doing a lot of things that the Australian bakers had to do. For example, the choux buns, they made choux animals.
Yeah.
If you remember correctly. And Fee made the amazing Chinese Zodiac.
And don't forget Antonio's fish of fabulousness.
And Antonio's fish of fabulousness, we know. And so they're doing a lot, and we talked about it the last few weeks. There's been challenges here and there where they've done something that the Australians have done.
Yeah.
And there is no comparison. The Australian Bake-Off crew would be blitzing these challenges.
Yeah.
And I know, you can't really... Yeah, you can. Go back and rewatch that Australian series. I rewatched it again the other week in the lead-up to the new series coming up.
Yeah.
And the quality of the Australian Bake-Off contestants in the last season was top draw.
Yeah.
And they had a really good crew for this one, for British. And it started brilliantly. Like we said in the first few episodes.
This is great.
The baking quality is sublime. Remember, the group before, they had issues with making the Genovese sponge in week 1.
Yeah, so basically it was a sponge challenge from then on.
Yeah, and every week was a sponge challenge after that. With these guys, they've given them technical, tricky things.
Yep.
But everyone has struggled. Like even, like we said, Sophie's been consistent.
Yeah.
But she's not been outstanding. In terms of no one has been outstanding. So in this challenge, Sophie did the best job of it and did come first in the technical.
Yep.
The rest of them, Stacey came second. Stephen and Kate's were sort of, I thought, interchangeable. So Stephen came third and Kate came fourth.
Yeah.
But they were interchangeable. You could have had those...
Either way.
Now, this brings us to the showstopper. Now, the showstopper... They were asked to make a meringue centerpiece. 2 different types of meringue. and a dessert element. Ooh. And you had 4 hours and 45 minutes to make this happen. Now, especially since we know they've had some weather issues.
Yep.
Why did the producers go with meringue?
Because they went, that's pretty, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Now, that's my follow-up point, which is that, yeah, we know that there's been, the weather has been all over the place.
Yeah.
But if you know the weather's been all over the place and you know there's an outside chance, for example, that the weather's going to play up, why give them meringue for the challenge, which is going to crack and break and not cope with hot conditions?
Because usually in England, they don't have hot weather. It's all baking weather all the time.
Yeah, but the producers have the ability to switch it up.
Okay, why are you looking at me like I'm going to come and... I don't have an answer to this. They just chose meringue. I don't have an answer.
I'm just asking the question.
I didn't choose... I'm not one of the producers, I swear.
Hang on a minute. You're not one of the producers?
No.
Oh, shit.
Come on, Chris.
What have you been doing? I thought...
Get with the program.
That's why we had you on, I thought.
Ah, fuck you. Yeah, I'm here for the talent. I'm here because I bring the one-liners.
You do?
I'm here because I bring the swearing.
You bring the witty retort and swearing.
Yes.
That's your job, and you do it magnificently well.
Yes. Fucking oath. Shit, yeah.
That's what you're here for. So, and by the way, and on that note, shout out to the Sweary Canary again, because when I saw the choux pastry, all I could think of was the choux pastry, the choux pastry sign of the zodiac.
Anal.
Anyway.
Lingonberry. That just sounds like a rude word. Oh, you goddamn lingonberry. That doesn't sound like a rude word. You can swear in IKEA. All of them are probably rude words, or you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know it, no. The other thing before we get onto the last challenge is Stacey's bench.
Stacey's bench. She's not got it going on.
It was...
I put up a gif of a hoarder. This is my kitchen. There's just junk everywhere. It's fucking... It's true.
Go to the Twitter account and go and have a look. I retweeted it out there as well. And yeah, this is my kitchen, and you can't see anything. And it does look just like Stacey's bench.
Yeah.
So...
It really did look like it needed a slow-mo shot on the apocalypse. What, is the Apocalypse Now theme? Just...
Yes. That would have worked perfectly. So... There were lots of options for patisserie week. Apparently meringue was the smart one. So they went with meringue as a centerpiece. Now...
What would you have gone with then?
A cake. Something structurally sound.
A sponge. A sponge? A sponge? Because we don't have enough sponges.
Opera cake.
Yeah, but we always do an opera cake. And then they would have been obviously copied Great Australian Bake Off.
Well, they would have been obviously copied, but they've already sort of done that anyway, so why not?
Why stop?
And again, it's just more structurally sound.
They could have done a chic torta.
They could have done a chic torta, actually. Not for that week, but they should have done a chic torta at some point. Count the layers. Anyway, so what I found crazy was that Stacey and Stephen decided that it wasn't quite enough to just make crazy meringue.
No.
Let's go with chocolate.
Yeah, fucking let's make this harder.
Because none of them clearly saw Jane trying to make a chocolate collar.
No.
Because like Stacey goes, I've never done this before, really. I've made one egg before, but I haven't really tried this, so we're going to give it a go. In the semi-final, really, in the semi. And Stephen goes, make a basket. This could be interesting. Yeah. Now, you're all complaining about the heat in the tent, so you make chocolate.
What else are you going to make a basket out of?
Wicker.
You see him in the corner stripping down some reeds. Starting to
hearing small levels of chanting in the corner.
Yeah. Noel comes over and goes, oh, you're doing some weaving. Can I join in with you? Okay.
Basket weaving classes would have been wonderful. Yeah. I could imagine Stephen being the person sitting in the corner just thatching a basket.
Thatching a thicket to his
jacksie. Anyway, I'm like, did none of you watch Jane's collar attempt? Because apparently they didn't. Stephen's basket melted.
Didn't have it going on.
No, well, Stacey's eggs
didn't have it going on either.
What?
She was off all night. You could just see her slowly crumbling into the ground
and nearly knocking
disappearing into the earth
and nearly knocking everything off her
dissolving into nothingness.
Yeah. Much like her meringue. Yeah, when she threw the eggs onto the bench, you're like, don't do that. And then she did it again. And the third time, she just about knocked the flamingos off the bench.
She broke its head.
She almost
decapitated it. She had a nearly headless flamingo.
And And Kate just over in the corner, just
Doing it.
doing her thing.
Red and yellow and pink and green. That's what I imagine she was singing when she was doing it.
Probably.
Passion fruit and blueberries and stuff that I'm putting here. I'll make some clouds now and such. Okay, keep talking because I'm just going to keep going on.
Your singing was beautiful. Wait for the concert podcast. And Sophie just hers cracked all over the place.
But she pulled it together.
She did. I sort of liked where Paul and the judging went. Nice hat.
Yeah. It was definitely a ballerina's figure because it was like very straight. But I liked how she had a backup to cover up the cracks, which was the cream, the butter icing.
Yep.
So she just, and it looked effective. It didn't look like just random splatches of pink icing sugar, like spacked.
Yes.
It didn't look like a spacked up hat.
No, it didn't look like she spack fillered it, which is what she had done realistically.
Yeah.
Realistically, she was spack fillering everything. But
Just imagining the new Sally's ad featuring Kate. Now you can
Sophie's no more gaps.
Yeah. You can have no more. Oh, sorry. Sophie's no more gaps. You can have no more gaps, or you have fancy ones like this.
Fancy filly ones.
Yeah.
So she did the tutu with the opera filling meringue centerpiece. I love how they went, how many layers? She goes 13, and Paul goes, it's supposed to be 9, and she goes, I need to fill it up.
And for 13, with that amount of ganache, like, fuck.
And the flavours they said were good.
Yep.
And again, it was a Sophie bake, which is, it's solid.
It's solid.
It's there. It's quality. It's not blow away amazing, but it's also definitely going to get you through and definitely going to churn through. And again, it was solid and consistent. I thought that Kate's rainbow meringue centerpiece was
so
a brilliant idea.
Yes.
They weren't very happy with the rainbow, and they were like, "Oh, it's not clean enough." I thought that the cartoon nature of that rainbow looked superb.
That's what made it. It looks like a kid had drawn its picture and it's come to life.
You know what it reminded me of?
In meringue form.
You know what it reminded me of? Hanna-Barbera Land.
Oh, yes!
Right, for anyone who saw Australia's Wonderland, it reminded me greatly of Hanna-Barbera Land.
Oh, I loved that place because it was the only rides I could go on because I was a fucking scaredy cat. Seriously, the only reason why I went on a proper roller coaster for the first time is because a guy I liked went on it. Didn't even get to sit next to him, and he was sitting on some other chick. But I still went on the roller coaster because of that.
So you never got to do the Maths in Action excursion day?
No.
We got to do the Maths in Action excursion day, which involved everybody getting the worksheets we had to do and throwing them off the top of the beastie.
But you did Maths in Action, isn't that like the lowest maths?
No. Maths in Action was like, this was a primary school...
Oh.
Maths in Action. Come and watch the real life mathematics happen at the park.
It's like, I don't give a shit.
They
Just
took us to the
on...
park and they gave everyone a worksheet and everyone threw theirs like a paper plane off the top of the beastie at the highest point of the roller coaster. So there were all these sheets just raining off the top of the roller coaster.
It's raining homework.
Hallelujah.
The thing I liked were the swings. I like the swings. And what I'd do is I'd go on that claw thing that went up and down and twist it around. But every time it got to the top, I'd like lie on the ground of the thing because for some reason in my head that felt safe.
I always liked the old wooden roller coasters, the ones that felt like they could collapse at any moment.
God, no,
I like the sense of things that can collapse at any moment.
I think I went on that, but I think I mentally blocked it out. I know I went on a small beastie and I went on the demon. Oh my God. I went on the demon. That was the first one.
You know that it ended up at the Tower of Terror up at Gold Coast.
The demon.
They took the demon and all that and they put it up there with the Tower of Terror.
Well, here's hashtag things I won't be travelling on.
I will be. I love it. Stacey's Flamingos in Love meringue centerpiece. They said that the problem they had with it was they said it was sweet and tart.
It was too sickly sweet and then too tart, and it wasn't a good balance.
So they argued that now Stevens...
But I did like how she got the faux grass out and went full
She went
live
live
on it.
She went live. There were flamingos. There was fake grass. It was wonderful.
Colour.
It was like a 1970s Australian home has come to life.
I know. You just see some keys being dropped into that nest and away we go.
And then Stevens, some air over the rainbow meringue centerpiece.
Oh, man, there's a lot of cracking inside the meringue.
Now, Paul...
Melting chocolate baskets. Continue.
Now, Paul Hollywood had made a comment. Paul Hollywood made a comment about the quality of the bake.
Keep going.
And Paul had said that the meringue wasn't baked properly. His comment about that was the meringue wasn't baked properly, that you didn't use the right technique, and it should hold together. And it clearly wasn't holding together the way that it should have. And yes, it was hot, but it was very difficult to put together this idea of it should stay, right? It should just stay. And Stephen wasn't holding.
No, it wasn't. I'm going to stop there because then I have to go up and I can't hit those high notes.
But it wasn't holding the way that it should have. And
I was really with Paul and Sandy, though. Not Paul. Noel and Sandy watching it, though. It was kind of like, oh.
It was horrible to watch.
And it was in slow motion. You just saw the chocolate dripping down.
When he stepped away, you could hear the cracking and you're like, But Paul was right in that the technique was wrong.
Yeah, he needed to bake it a little bit longer.
His technique...
We heard that over...
Yeah, and as Prue said, yes, it was hot, but you've got to build a centerpiece that's going to last.
Yes.
You know, you have to make it robust enough to last.
Well, it's where Neil went wrong last week. Because he, did his sugar centerpiece. Liam, I rename people. It's where Liam went wrong last week, He put spun sugar on it.
It went too early. And I thought that, again, I know Stephen had to get the basket on before everything else, but he probably did get it out there a little bit too soon. And I don't even think it was set when he did it, because when you looked at it, when he was putting the basket on, he had his hands all over it, and it was melting in his hands.
Yeah,
So I don't think he'd actually set it as much as he would have liked when he put it on.
He just needed a bit of Viagra. Keep it hard.
Now, when they went to the judging...
Yes.
Because they said the flavours were okay with Stephen. They said they were brilliant. They said they were okay. They said they were pretty good. When they went to the judging,
yes,
they went, this is the hardest decision we've had to make. And Paul Hollywood actually said we may have to go back into the whole of the series to break them up. Now, this is where I have an issue with this finale.
A lot of shit, because if we did that, Stacey should have gone through.
Yep. Now, Stephen, we know he makes things that look amazing, and yes, he's won Star Baker. Stacey's, I think, won once as well. But Stephen's also had a lot of weeks where Stephen's missed. It's looked amazing, but they've said the flavours are not good.
How can we forget the handbag? Looked amazing, didn't taste good.
Had like the dome with the raw, raw cake.
The crown,
The crown, which was raw. He's had this history of doing things that are really technically difficult, and you've got to give it to him. I like the fact he swings for it.
Hell yeah.
But they haven't worked.
No.
Stacey, I like the fact she swung for the fences a lot too.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that she didn't change for the finale, for the last challenge here, and go, I'll do something ultra safe.
And just stuck to her pink. She's like, fuck you.
I got here with pink. I got here with pink. I came here with pink. I've had a really nice day. I've enjoyed meeting all of you. I'm going home with the pink.
It was so much pink. It was like swinging off the top of like a silk rope, singing Raise Your Glass. That's how pink it was.
But I thought that it actually worked for that challenge. And Stacey beat Stephen in 2 of the 3, I thought. And I know the key lime cheesecake, I think his flavour was lovely. He burnt his choux pastries.
Yeah.
Right, the unicorn flavours. And she beat him in the technical. If you want to say it was sort of a tie in the first one, you could sort of say that. I think the third one's probably a bit of a tie too, if you really want to go there.
Yeah.
I think if you go back on a count back, I don't see their logic. I mean, it's not an abhorrent decision that ruins everything.
But didn't Stephen get Star Baker twice and Stacey only got it once?
Possibly, but I think the weeks that he didn't get it, though, he was not even close to getting it.
Yeah.
Whereas there were a couple of times where Stacey was like second or third or second or third, and it was just... They didn't give enough of an explanation as to how the hell they came to that decision. They indicated where they were going with it, but they didn't really justify it. And look...
And I understand your frustration. For me, I'm just kind of like, okay, it's... 6 months it was filmed ago, and like it's kind of like, okay, I trust your decision, judges. I mean, there's probably things that also swayed their decision that they possibly couldn't talk about because it sounded very
possibly
nitpicky. Who knows?
But I also think, by the way, that Kate should have got Star Baker, but that's just me. But I understand why, because they used the technical and Sophie won the technical.
Yep.
But on that logic, Stacey came second in the technical.
Yeah.
So, again, it's just consistency.
Yeah.
Not an abhorrent decision that is the death of all mankind.
Yeah.
But it's always a consistency issue, and they weren't really consistent. So we go into the final.
Woo!
And we have Kate, we have Sophie, and we have Stephen.
Yes.
Of the three, Kate's starting to produce some really good bakes.
If she's on form, then she's a threat.
Yeah. Stephen...
If he can get back in form, he's a threat.
And Sophie's just...
A shark.
The thing is, I don't think that Sophie... I think someone else has to win it because Sophie won't lose it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Sophie's not in a position to lose it. Sophie's in a position where you've got to beat her.
Yes.
Because she's just that
Well,
good in
she
terms of
has
consistency.
3-star bakers now?
Three, I think.
3, maybe 4.
And she's always up around there, and she produces, we said, consistent baking.
Yeah.
So it's not a Nadia level.
It's not a wow. And I think a lot of the times where, I mean, I'm guilty of it. I like a journey. I like seeing someone start out with some raw skill, a bit of passion, just seeing them blossom, come through, you know, start shining like a diamond.
Shine bright like a diamond?
Shine bright like a diamond.
So I thought
Whereas
that
Sophie came in and
just
she's
came in at
good
that.
and
She hasn't,
she's
she hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I don't actually think she's developed either. But I think that overall, I mean, it's an intriguing final. But Kate's been consistent in terms of the last few weeks. She started to really put it together. Had that moment where she nearly went home. And, this week was
honestly looked like it was going to go Liam than Kate with the way that because she almost went out the week before.
Yeah.
So.
But interesting final ahead. So hopefully for the final we'll have a few bits and pieces for you.
Yeah.
Also, we're hoping this week we might have a few more things leading into the start of Great Australian Bake Off.
Yeah.
It's very likely we're not going to name anybody, but we're probably going to have at least one, if not two more lead-in episodes.
Maybe a bit more exposition on A Christmas Prince, which I think is slightly less... I don't know, I'm still tossing between that and A Christmas Inheritance in terms of which was the superior. I mean, they've both got their pluses and minuses. More minuses, I must say. But at least A Christmas Inheritance has a strong moral story.
So as you can see, we're starting 2018 off right.
Indeed.
Indeed we are. Anyway, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still puzzling the mysteries of A Christmas Story on Netflix.
and also Kristie. And we'll catch you all next week for the grand final.
Ciao.